how do we construct a frequency table for qualitative data, and how do we construct a table for quantitative data? Okay, now let's begin first with what a frequency distribution table is. So can I have a volunteer to read the definition? Can I have Sabio? Go on, Sabio. Okay, just like what you see in the example. So we have here two types of cars, domestic and foreign. And there are 50 cars which are under domestic and 30 cars under foreign. So this is an example of a frequency distribution table. It talks about the frequency of the domestic cars and the frequency of the foreign cars. That is one example of a frequency distribution table. And this data is this quantitative or is this qualitative? Like the car type, it's qualitative. It's qualitative. When you say car type, domestic and foreign, those are just qualities. Is that ordinal? Is it nominal? Is that ratio interval? What kind of data is that? Kanang domestic ug foreign, unsa man siya, nominal, ordinal, ratio, or interval? Do you still remember the different? That's nominal data. Okay, thank you so much. That is nominal data. Okay, now let's go to these definitions over here. Can I have a volunteer? Please just raise your hand. I'll be calling you. Yes, Kenji for class interval, Jake for class frequency, then can I have Nika for the class midpoint? Go on, Kenji. Okay, what about the class frequency? And lastly, the class midpoint. Okay, as we go on with our discussion this afternoon, you will really understand what a class interval is, a class frequency, and a class midpoint. Again, class interval is the class. It's obtained by subtracting the lower limit of the class from the lower limit of the next class. Class frequency, the number of observations in each class, and the class midpoint, a point that divides a class into two equal parts. This is the average of the upper and the lower limits. Now, let's focus first on how do I construct a frequency distribution table for qualitative data. Now, let's have this definition. The categorical frequency distribution table. Di ba when I say categorical, it simply says na it's qualitative data. Do you agree with me? Yes, it is. Di ba when you say categorical, it focuses on ordinal and nominal. Am I correct? Yes. Okay. So it is used to organize nominal level or ordinal level. It focuses more on qualitative data. Some examples where we can apply this distribution are gender, business type, political affiliations, and others. Now, let's have an example. So you have here 20 applicants were given a performance evaluation appraisal. The data set is, these are the results. These are the results of the 20 applicants. Okay? These are the results of the 20 applicants nga evaluations alang performance. Now, let's construct a table for this. So, these are the steps. Step number 1 is to construct a table as shown below. So, as you can see, the heading for our table, the class, the tally, the frequency, and then the percent. So take note, that will be the heading for our qualitative data na table. The class for the first column, the tally for the second column, the frequency third column, then percent for the fourth column. And as you can see, diba, the performance evaluation appraisal is tulo na sila. Average, high, and low. So that will be written under the first column. Kung unsay mga the terms or probably the evaluation here, like example, kung gender atong pasabot diri, so meaning I'll be having male and female alone. If I'm gonna be having like grade level, grade 8, grade 9, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, grade 10. That's for junior high. Example, senior high grade level. So I'll be having grade 11 and grade 12. So this is intended for the first column. Depende na siya unsa nga data ang given. Is the first column clear? Okay. Now this time, you tally the raw data. So let's start first with, for a while. Let's tally now. Let's go high. 1. Average. That's 1 for average. Then low, duha ka book sa low. 1, 2. Then you have high. Then you have low. Then you have average. Then you have low. This is how I do tallying. I will be giving writing a check mark when I'm done tallying it para di ko malibog asan na ko nga part. High, average to low, 1, 2, 3. So I'll be having 1, 2, 3. Then I have low. Then I have average. I have 1, 2, duha ka high. And I have duha ka average. And I have duha ka high. So that's step number 2. You tally the raw data. Is step number 2 clear? Okay. Let's go to step number 3. Convert the tallied data into numerical frequency. So let's go to the third column now. So pila man ni ang tally sa number sa high? You have 7. So the frequency is 7. What about the average? The average has a frequency of 8. And what about the low? 5. Now, how do we check whether our answer is correct? Okay, yes. Go on. By counting the lines. Aside from that, how do we check whether complete sila yung tanan sir na tally? How do we know that? Nga sakto atong pagtali walay kulangan din ha. Sige, section Galileo. Ilahi ang high, ang average, ang low. Then what are you gonna do afterwards? You write. What do you mean by you write like what we're doing 7, 8, and 5? But how do I check nga kining 7, 8, ug 5 sakto jud ni siya nga natali jud din ako tanan kining tanan nga naa din ha. How do I check? I-recheck. Without rechecking, it's simply if I'm gonna be adding everything, if I'm gonna be adding 7, 8, and 5, what's the total? 20. So, take note, our n is 20. Okay? Now, look at the problem. How many applicants are there? Okay, dapat mo coincide na saya. Kay what if pag total ninyo din you just came up with the sum of 19. So, meaning, na ay usa din nga wala matali. Or probably nanubra na himong 21 or 22, meaning na ay sayop sa pagtali. O, mo balik na pod kag tali ninyo din ha. So that's very important. After getting the frequency, you add them all. That should sum up with what is given in the problem. Is that understood, section Galileo? Okay, now let's go to step number 4. Determine the percentage. That's the fourth column. To get that, that's simply the frequency, this column over here, divided by n. You know for a fact that n is 20 times 100. So meaning, what is 7 divided by 20 times 100? How much is this? Please use your calculator, please. 2 decimal places lang. 2 decimal places, please. Point times 100. 7 divided by 20. 0.35. That's correct. 35%. Thank you so much. What about 8, which is our F, divided by N, which is 20 times 100? How much is this? 40%. What about 5 divided by 20 times 100? 25. Now, if you will be adding 35, 40, and 25, how much do you get? So, dapat 100% ang total. Kaya if it's not 100%, then there's something wrong with your solution. Okay? Is the making of the frequency distribution table for qualitative data clear? Okay, now let's go to quantitative data. Now, this is not the same as what we have before because this involves numbers now. Ang data nga atong given, like example, scores sa mga students or probably rating scales nila, ingana ang given. So, let's have this one first. These are the steps. Can I have somebody to read the first step for a while? Let me check the names. Evan. Go on, Evan. Step number 1. Go on, Evan. Two raised to k is greater than. Okay, step number 1 is to decide on the number of classes. Then I'm gonna be applying this rule over here. Okay? Anyways, we will apply this in our example later on. Darren, step number 2. Yes, that's greater than or equal to. Greater than or equal to. Minus, that's minus. Yes, divided by k. So take note of this formula. This will be the formula for the class interval or the class width. We have I, the interval, is simply greater than or equal to H minus L, the highest minus the lowest value, divided by K. And I suggest you round your answer to the nearest whole number. Do not have an I which is in decimal form. Again, round off your answer to the nearest whole number. Okay? Let's go to step number 3. Step number 3, Nika. Nika Nicole. Step 4, Nika. Continue. And step number 5. Okay, so these are the 5 steps in constructing a frequency table for quantitative data. Now, let's apply these steps in our first example. So, as you can see, this is our problem. SJS Travel Agency, a nationwide local travel agency, offers special rates on summer period. The owner wants additional information on the ages of people taking travel tours. A random sample of 50 customers, take note, there are 50 customers taking travel tours last summer revealed these ages. So these are the raw data. These are the ages sa 50 customers. Kini silang tanan. Okay? So that is the given sa problem nato. Now let me minimize that. So take note, ang kanang table, you are given the raw data, the ages. So step number 1 is to decide on the number of classes. Sir, how do we decide the number of classes? Diba ang K, the number of classes is simply the letter K. So to decide what's the value of K, pili kay value ni N, 15. Take note, you are given there, it's in our problem, 50 customers. If you will count the number of ages here, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 sad na siya ka ages. So take note, ang N nako is 50. I'm using the formula, by the way. I'm using this formula. Okay, let's start off. What if I'm gonna be having, what is, you think of a value for K such that the answer when you raise 2 to that value is greater than 50. Now, let's start with 2 raised to 1. What is 2 raised to 1? It's 2. Is it greater than 50? No. 2 squared. What about 2 squared? 4. It's not greater than 50. 2 cube. 8. So, dili pwede si 8. Yes, go on. What should be the value of K? If I'm gonna be having like the number, let's try the number 5. What is 2 raised to 5? What is 2 raised to 5? That's 2 times 2 times 32. Let's write 32. Is it greater than or is it greater than 50? No. So, dili di ni siya pwede. Dili ni siya pwede. Oh, what's next to 5? Let's try 6. What is 2 raised to 6? 64. Therefore, what's the value of K? The number, the exponent. Kana. O, kanang exponent nato ni 2, mao na ang value sa K. So, we are expecting that there will be 6 classes. Okay? Later on, you will know usi pasabutan ng classes dira. Basta, atong expected, this is the desired number of classes. So, we are having like 6 classes. Okay? Next. Step number 2. Determine the class interval or the class width. So, take note our formula. The formula for the class interval is simply is greater than or equal to the highest minus the lowest divided by the K. We already know what K is. The problem is, what is the highest value in our given and the lowest value? Sige, you examine the table. What is the highest value there? 77 is the highest value. Sir, this is the highest value. What about the lowest value? 18. Where is the number 18? It's over here. So this is the lowest value. So I'm going to be subtracting 77 and 18 divided by how much? What is the value of K? 6. Okay, so we have 77 minus 18 is how much? 59. 59 divided by 6 is how much? How much? 59 divided by 6. 59 Again. Sige, 9.83. Now, let's round this off. That's 10. Okay, so take note, we are having this class interval, the number 10. Okay? Now, to start with, let us now set the individual class limits. Now, this will be our table. Let's start with the first column first. So again, what is the lowest score? 18. You begin with 18. 18. Then, start adding. What is 18 plus 10? 28. 28 plus 10. 38 plus 10. Next will be 58 plus 10, 68, 78. Now, let's just write the number 78. But take note, what is the lowest score? I mean, the highest score there. 77. Now, is this 78 needed? No. We will not be needing 78 anymore. Nga naman, because inigtali-tali na ko din ha, wala may 78 nga naa din he. Do you get my point? Oh, sige, ato i-continue ha. Now, kini nga itong gipang suwat class, these are the lower class limits. Again, what we are writing are simply the lower class limits. Now, to get the upper class limits, it's so simple. Start with 28. 28 minus 1. 27. 38 minus 1. Mag-plus 10 na pud ka. Plus 10, that's 47. Plus 10, that's 57. Plus 10, 67. Plus 10, 77. So, and plus 10, 87. Okay? So, this is how we get the class limits. Is this clear? Now, diba, how many class limits are we expecting? 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mao nang I said a while ago nga kining 78 to 87 wala na siya gamit nga naman because you don't have a score here that is 78 to 87. So you just crush that out. Anyway, wala naman na siya gamit din ha because we only have until 77 sa atong data. Sir, what if, sir, ang akong answer diri, sir, 6, but I came up with 7 class limits? That's totally fine. Again, this is just the desired number of classes. Again, this is just the desired number of classes. Pwede na jud na siya mula pa sa 6 or mugamay sa 6. Is that clear? Okay. Now, let's continue. Skip na tong second column. Adto ta sa tally. Okay, let's do the tallying. 18, pangitaas, dirita mong start ni 18. 18 is over here, so I'm gonna put a tally. Sunod, 24, 28. 24 is where, sir? It's still here. 28, diri, sir, sa 28 to 37. 19, it's found over here, sa 18 to 27. Then the number 27, it's still here. Next, 29. 29 is here. You tell me whether I have tallied it wrongly ha? Kay probably na sayop si Sir ang okay, there you go. Nasayop na si Sir Tigli ato. Atong papason tong 29 nga gitali ni Sir Tigli sa atuang wait. Kini siya. Dira na akong gitali. Am I correct, Section Galileo? Then, natali na akong 29 over here, right? Okay, let's continue. 36. 36 is here. Then, 31, it's still here. 36, that's still found over here. 42, 45, 46. 42, 45, 46. 44, 46. 44, makit-an diri, 46 as well. And then we have 57, 58, 60, 58, 59. 57 is here, 58, 60, 58, 59. Then I have 61, 63, 66, 62, 64. 61 is here, 63 is here, 66 is still found here, 62 and 64. Let's go to 67, 70, 77, 68, and 74. 67 is here, 70 is here, 77, 68, 74. Let's have 37, 39, 40, 38, and 39. 37, 39, 40, 38, and 39. Then let's go to 49, 51, 52, 50, and 51. 49, 51, 52, 50, and 51. And let's have 53. Where is 53? It's over here. 54 is here. 56 is still here. 54 and 55. So, okay na ni sila. And we have 47, 48, 49, 48, 47. 47, 48. Where's 48? It's here. 49, 48, and 48. So that's step number 4. That's step number 4. Let's go to step number 5. Count the number of items. So, ang first na akong atali is how much? 4. The next one. 6. The next one. 10. The next one. 15. The next one. 10. The next one. 4. If you will be adding all of these numbers, how much do we get? Atong iklaro kung 50 ba jud na sa if i-add din mo tanan. Naatay na missed out. Naatay na the 29. Sige na lang ha, basta naatay na missed out ana, let's just put it here. For example, so this is now the number 7. Okay, so kining aning style kung nasayop ta, again, mubalik ta sa taliing. Pero we will not do that anymore because basin madugay na pud ta. Importante basta't masayop ta dire, ganiha we just got 49, right? Yeah, dapat 50 to siya. So probably na missed out to pagtali nato ganiha. Anyway, if that error will again mabalik ang error, mo come up ang error, mubalik tagtali ana. Okay? Now let's continue. Let's go to the second column, the class boundaries. Okay, the class boundaries. Let's begin first with the lower class limits. So, kining lower class limits, nani lower class boundary. So, let's begin first with 18. It's so simple. To get the lower class boundary, kining atong lower limits, minusa na og 0.5. So, what is 18 minus 0.5? 17.5. What about this one, minus 0.5? 27.5. Do the same thing with the rest of the items. So what should I write here? Next is 47.5, correct. Next is 57.5, and next is 67.5. This is how you get the lower class boundaries. coming from the lower class limit. Let's go to the upper class limit. So kining upper class limit mag-plus kog 0.5 ani. So what is 27 plus 0.5? 27.5. 37 plus 0.5. Okay, do the same thing with this. How much? 47.5. The next one. 57.5. The next one. 67.5. And lastly, 77.5. Okay? So take note, this is how we get our class boundaries. Is our table clear? So, kabalo na mo unsaon ni pag-convert kini siya nga raw data gihimo natong frequency distribution table. Nakasabot. Oh, okay. Now, let's have other data. I have here a data here. I have here a list, a data here. So, this is in tabled form already. This is not the raw data anymore. You are given already the class limit and the frequency. Now, how do we get the percentage? We have discussed this a while ago. Pila gito i-end nato diri section Galileo? 50. So how do we get the percentage? What was our formula? The percentage, diba, we have discussed this in qualitative. Yes, go on. Correct. F divided by N times 100. So, meaning 3 divided by 50 times 100. What's the answer for this? How much again? That's 6%. Correct. 6%. What about 5 divided by 50 times 100? 10%. What about 9 divided by 50 times 100? That will give us 18%. Is this correct? 18%. What about 14 divided by 50 times, again, how much? 28%. Okay, thank you so much. What about 11 divided by 50? 22%. What about 6 divided by 50? 12%. What about 2 divided by 50? I know, sorry. 100. This is 12%. Thank you so much. Then, how much was 2 divided by 50? 4%. Sir, why are we getting this percentages, by the way? Because magamit ni nato, inighimo nato og pie graph. Now, next week, mo na ko introduce next week ang paghimo og mga charts and different graphs. Okay? So, by karon lang, ang table sa atong unahon. Ang table nga na ang percentage, ang table nga na ang cumulative frequency, and the rest of those things. Is finding the percentage clear? Okay, let's go to finding the midpoint. We have the same data. So, how do we get the midpoint? Asa man nakuha ng midpoint, sir? Kuhaon din na siya sa class limits. O sa may tunga-tunga ni 18 ug 26, mao na gitawag na kog midpoint. The middle number between 18 and 26, how do we get that? What's the middle number between 18 and 26? How much? How did you get 22? You mean to say come again? How did you get 22? Okay. So, meaning, sir, minus nimong 26 og 18, divide og 2, then i-add nimong 18, which is also right. What is another way of getting 22? An easier way. Again, what was that? What was that? 26 minus 3. But if I'm gonna be using the frequency, will that be applicable for the rest of the items? So I cannot use the formula nga i-minus ako sa frequency. So take note, when I find the midpoint, the frequency will not matter at all. So walay gamit ang frequency when finding the midpoint. Ang midpoint again, diri na jud sa class limit kuhaon. It's so simple. Sir, i-adder na akong 18 ug ang 26, i-divide na kog 2. Pila man ang 18 plus 26? 44. 44 divided by 2 is how much? There you go. That's the midpoint. Simple as that. So meaning, sir, I'm gonna be computing the midpoint between 27 and 35. What will you do? 27 plus 35. 62 divided by 2 is how much? 31. So this is 31. Let's go to the third. By the way, this is what you call a class, another class. This is a class. Okay? So kini di sir is one class. This is another class. This is another class. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classes for this table. Okay? Now let's go on with the computation. 36 plus 44 divided by 2 will give you, okay, that's 80 over 2, that's 40, correct. What about this class over here? How much? 49 over 2. And what about this one? What is our midpoint? How much? 58. What about this one? What's the midpoint? 67. What about this one? How much? 76 or 77? Which is the correct answer? 76. Okay, there you go. So those are our midpoints. Is the midpoint clear? Okay, now let's go to the last one, the cumulative frequency. So the cumulative frequency is so simple. Sir, how do we get the cumulative frequency? Start with the number 3. Whatever is the number here, this will be the first number that you will be writing in the cumulative frequency. Again, whatever is the first frequency that you found in the table, the topmost frequency, that is the first cumulative frequency that you will be writing there. Next, you move diagonally. What is 3 plus 5? Okay, and you write your answer over here, the number 8. That is 3 plus 5. Okay? I-add na siya. Next, diagonally again, 8 plus 9. 17. You write the number 17 over here. You move diagonally again. 17 plus 31. You move diagonally again. 31 plus 11. 42. You move diagonally. 42 plus 6. That's 48. And then, lastly, okay, so take note, diba? If you will be adding all these frequencies, this is 50. And dapat mo parihas na siya dinha. Kay kung dili mo parehas din, there is something wrong with the solution sa inyong frequency, cumulative frequency.